All right, folks. So this right here is pretty much a continuation from yesterday, except now you got to set up the whole equation to solve it, but it's the same thing as yesterday. So if we're looking for this angle, so this is the x angle we don't know about, we got to first figure out what we're going to use. Are we going to use cosine, sine, tangent? One of those three, right? So let's figure it out. Here's the angle, and we know the opposite. Remember, this side is the opposite. This is opposite. First thing we should have done though is see this big 90 degree. The opposite side of this one, this big long side, is the hypotenuse. And if this is the opposite, which it is, because here's the angle and here's the opposite over here, then this has to be the adjacent. And please note that we're using the adjacent and the hypotenuse. Those are the two numbers we do know. And those are the only things we can use to figure this out. So we're going to have to use tangent. So tangent of x, whatever that angle is, I don't know what it is, we're going to try to figure it out, is equal to opposite 15 divided by adjacent 12. That's the equation. So, if you want to see the three equations, what are they? It's tangent of some angle is equal to opposite over adjacent. That's the one we're doing now. That's opposite, by the way. The sine one is sine of theta is equal to opposite over hypotenuse, and the cosine of some angle is equal to the adjacent over hypotenuse. So those are the three options we have, So we have either a tangent, which is opposite over adjacent, or a sine, which is opposite over hypotenuse, or cosine, adjacent over hypotenuse. All right, so knowing that, we chose tangent because it had an adjacent, it had an opposite, but nothing in the hypotenuse. And this is the only one with nothing in the hypotenuse. It has opposite and adjacent, but no hypotenuse. Those two have hypotenuse. All right, so let's go ahead and bring out the calculator. We're going to do 15 divided by 12 is 1.25. So let's go back here. So tangent of x is equal to 1.25. But I don't want to know what the tangent of x is. I just want to know what x is. So x is equal to tangent negative 1, that's the arctangent, of 1.25. And then we'll figure out what x is right now when we stick this in the calculator. First thing you need to do is don't make the mistake a lot of students are doing, which is leaving this in radians right here. See how it's radians? Switch that over to degrees. And we're going to do the arctangent of 1.25, so let's do that. So first off, that's tangent. We're going to click inverse, and then we can click tangent. See how it turns to a negative 1 there? There we go. And then 1.25, there we go. All done. Arctangent 1.25 is 51 degrees, 51.3 if we want to have 3 digits. 51.3 degrees, and that's all there is to it. Let's look at a different one with different size, different angle. All right. First thing we're going to do is note that this is the 90 degree, so this opposite long side must be the hypotenuse. HYP, hypotenuse. And this is A, and if you look, it's pointing this way. So this is the opposite side, right? So just look at this little wave. It's going to point over here, right? This way, like a little sound wave. It's going to bounce on this wall on the opposite side. So this is the opposite, and this is adjacent. There is no opposite on this one. They only told me the hypotenuse, and they told me the adjacent. So which one has opposite, hypotenuse, and adjacent, sorry? And that would be cosine right here. So cosine of some angle, and they called the angle A right here. So cosine of A is equal to adjacent divided by hypotenuse. That's the rule. So let's take 15 divided by 17 on the old trusty calculator. 15 divided by 17 is equal to 0.882. So 0.882 cosine of that angle, the one we're talking about here, is equal to this. But remember, I don't want to know what the cosine of the angle is. I just want to know what the angle is. I just want to know this by itself. So A by itself is equal to cosine negative 1, which is the arc cosine, of that 0.882. that thing part right there. So let's go ahead and do that in the calculator and we're done. This is regular cosine. We can't do that one. We got to click inverse right here. Then we get the cosine -1. Sometimes on calculators that might be a second button. It might have the 2ND on there. I don't know. This one is the one we got to push for this calculator. So we're going to click that arc cosine. And then we're going to click, then we're going to type in, I've already forgot, 0.882. There we go. It actually says it right up here. I should have paid attention to that. 0.882. And it's 28 degrees, or 28.1 if you want to do that. 28.1. So A is equal to 28.1 degrees. Perfect. And the last one, let's try this one out. So obviously this is the 90. This side is the hypotenuse, that's the opposite side. So we know that one. And then here's the angle. So this is the opposite side over here. This is the adjacent side. We don't care about it, there's no number there. So something with hypotenuse and opposite, and that would be the sine right here, opposite over hypotenuse. Because the rule is sine of some angle, and we call this angle B over here for this problem, is equal to opposite 12 right here, opposite of the angle 12, divided by the hypotenuse over here, which is 15. And so let's figure out what 12 divided by 15 is on the calculator. 12 divided by 15 is 0.8. So 0.8 is equal to sine of B. But once again, I don't want to know what the sine of the angle is. So sine B is some angle, and I don't want to know what the sine of it is. I already know what it is. It's actually 0.8. I want to know what just the angle is. So the angle is equal to sine -1, so arc sine of that 0.8. Let's just bump that into calculator and we're all done. So let's clear this and we'll do, here's sine right here, but we're going to do inverse sine that one. That's the one we want. And we're still in degrees, so that's good. And then 0.8 equals 53 degrees, or 53.1. 0.1 degrees is equal to that angle. And that's all there is to it. And that should get you through your assignment. Your assignment is actually in Google Classroom. And let's see if I can bring up Google Classroom right now. Classroom Google, and let's go to the correct login. And let's go here. And you're going to go to period 1. And it will be in here, and it's not here yet, but it'll be in there. And that's where you'll find your assignment. It's pretty much exactly what I showed you today with these 3 examples.